This is CBC Vancouver News.
Canadian officials say 2023 is the worst wildfire season on record, with millions of hectares already burned across the country.
Through August, fire risk will continue to be significant between BC and Western Quebec.
And that higher than normal activity is expected to continue into the fall. Plus, narrow escape from fast-moving fires.
Everywhere we turned, it was barricaded, so you could just see the fire coming at you.
Evacuees from Maui grateful to be back home in BC. And taking to the skies.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Aviation's daredevil acrobats fly in for Abbotsford's air show. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Dan is away tonight. Canada has officially reported the worst wildfire season on record. Millions of hectares have already burned, including many here in BC. And as Mira Baines reports, federal officials are saying the fire season could extend into the fall.
This summer's wildfire season is being described as a challenging marathon, and there's no end in sight. An exhausting and difficult season taking its toll on firefighters.
So obviously we're responding to incidents and putting everyone on the line that we can to support the province, but so there's like no real time to like stop and process, what's happened to other members of the organization.
Emotions have been running high with 4 deaths on the front lines. Now word crews could be busy into late summer in some parts of Canada.
Through August, fire risk will continue to be significant between BC and Western Quebec, with areas of highest risk along the BC coast, eastern and northern Manitoba, and eastern Ontario.
This year, 13.54 million hectares have burned across Canada, a huge increase over the previous record set in 1989, when close to 7 million hectares of forest were destroyed. Canada has needed help. About 5,000 wildfire fighters from around the world have joined efforts. There are calls for the federal government to develop a national firefighting force.
It would really benefit all Canadians if we had a standalone wildfire fighting force of maybe 400 or 500 individuals who are well trained and could be deployed across the country where they're needed.
Experts say it could help get fires under control more quickly.
If you had a national firefighting agency, then it's all our home territory, and we can move preemptively before the situation becomes extreme.
Federal government officials say the focus is on investing in existing systems, announcing Friday $400,000 for training to fight fires that threaten communities. But nothing is off the table as hotter, drier conditions fuel the worst fire season Canada's ever seen.
That was Mira Baines reporting. Over to the wildfires in Hawaii now, where rescuers are facing the difficult task of combing through rubble, searching for those who are missing. At least 67 people are now confirmed dead, a number that is expected to rise. We're now hearing more from Canadians fleeing from the destruction. Ellen Morrow has their stories.
The firestorm was overwhelming. I mean, it was huge. I've never seen anything like it.
Mark Morris took this photo, capturing a moment of terror as fire raged near his partner's home.
To see it moving and to realize that there's nothing man-made that can stop it is pretty horrifying.
The Canadian from Vancouver has lived on Maui for 16 years. His loved ones and property are safe, but Morris is heartbroken for the place he's come to see as home.
I actually awoke crying that the impact on this community is going to be so great.
Global Affairs Canada says it's not aware of any Canadians injured in the disaster, the agency asking tourists not to travel to the island. Hundreds of Canadians have returned home, with WestJet and Air Canada putting on several evacuation flights. The devastation from the air staggering.
It looks like a war zone out there. It really looks like somebody came along and just bombed the whole town. It's completely devastated. It's burned down to the ground. It was
Canadian Brandon Wilson and his wife were celebrating their 25th anniversary.
We're going home, but a lot of people, their lives have been really affected and devastated by this, so it's not easy.
Evacuees are arriving in Vancouver. Jessie Watkins filmed her escape, fleeing as the fire closed in.
It just happened so fast, so you could just see the fire coming at you. So eventually, people just drove through the barricades because it was the only way to escape.
Thousands of Canadians travel to Hawaii every year. Morris hopes those who love Maui and Lahaina will help in this hour of need.
There are some great charities that people can make donations to. The breadth of historical loss is really immeasurable.
Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Another heat wave is expected to hit BC early next week. Temperatures may climb to the high 30s, and officials are advising people to check in on the most vulnerable.
Please check in with people who you know may be susceptible a couple of times a day to see how they're coping. Ask them about the indoor temperature in their environment. Ask them some questions to evaluate whether they're doing okay, and then take action if they're not.
Aside from managing indoor temperatures, the BCCDC is encouraging people to stay hydrated and use water to stay cool. You can also try wearing a damp t-shirt or soaking your feet in buckets of water. Surrey RCMP say a police incident that started around 8 o'clock this evening on King George Boulevard has led to the closure of the southbound lanes of the Patullo Bridge from New Westminster to Surrey, as well as one northbound lane. RCMP are staying tight-lipped about the incident, but in an email to CBC News say there is no danger to the public, and the bridge is expected to reopen within the next hour or so, but drivers should expect significant traffic congestion in the area. Vancouver police are searching for a man wanted on a Canada-wide warrant. Harjot Singh Samra is 27 years old. He was released from prison yesterday and never arrived at his halfway house. He is 5'9" and weighs 252 pounds with a heavy build. He was spotted yesterday at 6 p.m. in a vehicle near Canby Street and Marine Drive. Samra is a federal offender charged with numerous drug and weapons offenses. Anyone with information on his whereabouts is asked to call 911. Well, Vancouver may not be a stop for Taylor Swift, but we're still getting some big acts over the next few months. Those in the concert industry say demand for live events is higher than ever. And as Michelle Gomez reports, not even high ticket prices are deterring audiences.
So this year, I got Beyonce next month. And then November, I'm going to go see Taylor in Brazil.
Reggie D'Souza is an avid concert goer. Not only is he going as far as Brazil to see Taylor Swift, he is seeing her twice.
It's about being present. It's about, especially after the pandemic, appreciating what we have and just celebrating life.
With big acts like Beyonce, Drake, and Coldplay coming, Vancouverites have a lot of options. But with these big acts comes an even bigger price tag. Pascal Cordy, an economics professor at the University of Victoria, says ticket prices are increasing even higher than inflation.
That's a problem with concerts. It's not scalable. And so artists will perform so many nights a year. And if their concert is very popular, at some point, what many artists end up doing is that they increase the price.
With inflation and labor shortages, production costs have gone up. Patrick Roberge, the creative director for concerts at the PNE, says their costs have increased between 20% and 30% since the pandemic. Regardless, demand in the city is high.
There was a huge pent-up demand during the pandemic, and I've never seen so many concerts and live events on sale in this market in my career.
A recent survey conducted by Casino.org found that BC concertgoers were willing to spend an average of $308 on a ticket.
Live events, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what the artist is going to do, and that's what makes the energy, and that's what people love about it.
D'Souza says his Beyonce ticket was around $300, and each of his Taylor Swift tickets costed $500.
It's all about the connection with the artists and with the people surrounding me.
Roberge agrees. He says while streaming has made music more accessible than ever, it's the atmosphere and the energy of a live performance that can't be replicated. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
The 61st annual Abbotsford Air Show took flight today. This year, the three-day event features a slate of outstanding female pilots and crew. Along with that showcase, 2 pilots lit up the night sky tonight with their daredevil acrobatics. Leanne Young had the chance to take along with pilot Kyle Fowler this afternoon for a preview.
Kyle, I am so excited for this. Your plane looks insane.
Yeah, it's crazy different, right?
Yes.
It's a little backwards.
Yeah, you'd think that this was the front of the plane, but that's not the case.
No, that's definitely the front.
So tell me about this plane.
This is my fun little plane. We call it the backwards plane, and it's what I use to fly air shows all over Canada, US, and Central America.
And this, I hear, is special paint on here.
Yeah, all the gray paint on this is for the night show. It's paint on light. Plus, we put a bunch of fireworks on the airplane and light up the sky.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. So what do I need to know about flying with you today?
Last thing I want is a bad Yelp review like we discussed earlier. If you want to go upside down, we'll go upside down.
I'm excited. Should we get ready? Suit up?
Absolutely. Let's get to it. So I'll get you to put this on.
Okay.
Just like a backpack. All right.
Does this go like this?
If we were to use the parachute, this is how it would work. This is the D-ring here, and don't do this now, otherwise we're not gonna go flying. I tell people 2 thumbs in the D-ring, pull it straight out.
All right, so there. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and sit down.
Oh, this is like my kid's car seat.
Good, you're not too nervous?
No.
It makes one of us, that's good. All right.
This is the before. Love you. Love you too, Miranda.
Okay.
That's about 45 there.
Oh.
We gotta slow down, so we pull the power. We roll upside down.
Holy
and then we come down.
Oh my God!
As we come out, we pull a little bit of G.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
On your current track,
Oscar confirmed. Contact Vancouver Center now.
That's like one of the greasiest landings I've ever had.
That was beautiful.
That makes me look like a real pilot.
Oh my God. Glad I'm in a dark colored shirt so you don't have to see my sweat drenched clothing here. That was insane. Oh. Okay.
Feels kind of weird, doesn't it?
Yep. Legs are a little wobbly, not gonna lie. Thank you so much, Kyle. That was amazing. That was something else.
That was fun.
Coming up, some BC nurses are leaving hospitals to work at salons and cosmetic clinics. We'll find out why after the break. Thank you for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. New and different forms of fentanyl are constantly being uncovered in the illegal drug supply. Something that could make a difference is a first-of-its-kind drug checking site that is now open in Edmonton. Natasha Reeb has more.
This service is helping to save lives.
Jess Murray opens the drug checking program at this office above Jasper Avenue. Anyone who wants to find out what's in the drug they bought can come in with stimulants like cocaine, methamphetamine, and opioids like fentanyl. Technicians test samples using a spectrometer, looking for the big culprits like carfentanil or benzodiazepines, more commonly known as benzos. Also, the concentration. This sample is 85% meth and 15% polymer, a filler.
Would you classify this as a safe drug?
So, I mean, safety is relative.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how you're using the drug itself. So, with meth, there's obvious addiction potential.
Murray's team works out of the Queer and Trans Health Collective and gives clients the results in person, by phone, or email.
We know that people are going to use substances, whether we like it or not. We just want to make sure that if they are using substances, they know what's in their substances, they're able to get supplies for their substances to use it more safely.
Many advocates agree drug checking programs are vital in trying to put a dent in the drug overdose crisis. This week, Edmonton's chief of police also points out it's an ever-changing and dangerous situation.
Overdoses have gone up. And people think that this is about safe drugs. There's no such thing as safe. The reality is when the gangs are involved, they really don't care how many people die, and I don't mean to be harsh on that, but the reality is we absolutely need to target those folks.
While this kind of service is new in Alberta, neighboring British Columbia started 5 years ago, has 25 spectrometers and 105 community harm reduction centers. That's where they're finding new and novel substances all the time.
What we know is that the drug supply is getting increasingly toxic and unpredictable. So I think that's one thing that drug checking's been really helpful for, is helping us to understand what's in the drug supply at the consumer end of the unregulated drug supply.
The equipment is expensive, running about $50,000. This one came from funding from the federal government. The Alberta government points out illegal drugs are dangerous, and they're focusing on expanding detox, treatment, and recovery services. This advocate says all well and good if you can get there.
Nobody can access treatment services if they're dead, right?
Natasha Reeb, CBC News, Edmonton.
From long, heavy shifts to the emotional scars of the pandemic, some BC nurses are leaving hospitals behind in favor of salons and cosmetic clinics. Benit Breach brings us the story of 3 nurses who found new purpose and balance.
I just felt there has to be a change. I can't keep doing this forever.
Karen Tan was a pediatric nurse for 13 years, but in 2020, she left her hospital scrubs and 12-hour shifts. She was passionate about caring for children, but
there were many times where I felt very overwhelmed, very exhausted.
Now she manages this medical aesthetics spa. It's far different from her days providing chemotherapy for kids. She's now injecting Botox, treating hair loss, and even melting fat cells. Tan now works mostly 9 to 5. It allows her to spend more time with her daughter and prioritize her wellness. But the job still doesn't come easy.
It's very high expectations that clients have. So they're paying a lot of money for us to, treat them. So there's an immense amount of pressure for that.
Emily Miller can relate. She was a psychiatric nurse for 9 years in Burnaby, a job she calls a privilege, but
it was just too much to juggle with 2 parents working shift work in the hospital and trying to raise 2 young kids.
Miller opened up her own medical aesthetics clinic 2 years ago, and she now serves around 400 clients.
I again get to make my own hours and be available for my kids when they need me. I like the connection that I'm able to form with my patients and that ongoing care as well.
Statistics show more nursing jobs like Miller's and Tan's sit empty across the country. Since 2018, the number of unfilled jobs for registered and psychiatric nurses has nearly tripled. Health experts point to several possibilities, from burnout and retirements to more job postings to meet healthcare demands. To try to keep up, the BC government says it's boosting the number of nursing seats in universities, hiring more internationally educated nurses, and creating new staffing models for nurses to spend more time with patients. Rita Jen spent 13 years in public health care, the last 2 supervising discharges.
I felt like I was just working all the time in order to just feel like I was fulfilling my bare minimum.
The stress of problem solving amid patient bed shortages took its toll, especially when she couldn't find childcare.
After COVID, and everyone has different priorities now.
This space became her solution. A beauty studio Jen opened up with her 3 sisters last year. They share a passion for makeup, hairstyling, and lash extensions.
This is something that I needed to do for me and my family. I have no regrets.
For Jen, Miller, and Tan, work is now a new pace, with their families and patient care both top priorities. Beneath Brage, CBC News, Vancouver.
Here we have a live shot of downtown Vancouver looking north towards Burrard Inlet. We'll have your full forecast coming up next.
Okay, you've probably already guessed that this isn't some run-of-the-mill film festival. This short is called A Few Good Ken, and it's part of Vancouver's Queer Film and Video Festival.
I just think that the audience is going to love it.
It's presented by Out on Screen, and organizer Jennifer Fisher believes it's important and needed in Vancouver.
A Queer Film and Video Festival acts as an instigator for queer artists to make work. And because it exists, artists can make work knowing that it'll get screened, and even more importantly, that it may get screened elsewhere.
Mr. John, of course. How are you, sir?
Well, hasn't been the most righteous of days so far, as you know, Paul.
Some of these films will find a larger audience. There are a few full-length American movies being screened here, but most of these films were made on a minuscule budget, and the subject matter in most is too sexually explicit for broad appeal.
Often people only think about sexual expression in films and videos as being porn, or it's not expressed, or it's maybe expressed in an extremely, what many would call, unrealistic way in mainstream, big-time blockbuster commercial films. So there's an awful lot in between, which is everyday experience of everyday people.
I've never done anything like this before. Let me assure you, the hip-swinging lesbian style isn't my forte.
One of the new additions to the festival this year is Made in Vancouver. It features work by local filmmakers like Kenneth Samuels, who will be showing a preview of The Time Being.
As a producer, I don't limit myself to making work that's only about gay issues. I also, particularly with this film, The Time Being, it's more about universal human issues of loss and grief that everyone can identify with.
You look a right 2-8. That ugly cow.
This festival may not be for everyone, but you don't have to be gay or lesbian to attend. There's a wide body of work being shown from filmmakers all over the world, and you may not get another chance to see most of these works again. The festival runs until the 17th.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Support sustainable agriculture and celebrate local food with Margaret Gallagher at Feast of Fields. Enjoy the Gourmet Harvest Festival at the Stable Harvest Farms on September 10th. Tickets at farmfolkcityfolk.ca. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
Baseball teams from around the world are in Thunder Bay, Ontario this week, competing to qualify for the Women's Baseball World Cup. Team Canada's pitcher not only dominates on the mound, she takes on something far more dangerous, BC's Wildfires. We caught up with her to talk about how she balances her two careers.
And we're in 16, the designated hitter, Allison Schroeder.
I grew up in a small town, and baseball was the thing to do pretty much. And I had a really good core group there that encouraged me to keep playing. I was going to school with the guys there, so it's just the sport that stuck with me. My name's Ali Schroeder, and I pitch for the national team. Pretty excited to be here. It'd be really cool to do something in front of a home crowd this year and next year. I work for BC Wildfire Service as a crew member on a unit crew, fighting forest fires. This year, our drought codes are beyond where they need to be, and we're having a record-breaking season. I think it's now the worst wildfire season on record in BC, so we've been going since May and probably going to be going till October. We're seeing intense fire behavior that we've never seen before, a lot more rank 6 wildfires that are destroying our forests pretty much. It's definitely been our busiest season. We're at 4 deployments already and we're only halfway through the season. So in terms of what we're seeing, it's a lot of accumulative fatigue right now on crews, but really trust BC Wildfire Service and the situations they put us in. They keep us safe really well. And it's not really a balance. It's just one adrenaline high to the next. And I mean, you get a rush when you go into a big wildfire, and I get a rush when I get put into a big game, and it's just kind of chasing the next adrenaline rush. It looks a little bit different for me than anybody else training-wise. It's more or less me bringing a baseball glove and some J-bands to a fire camp, finding a fence. I have one ball and I'll throw it against the fence to mimic long toss, something, and that's how it is. And it's more just maintenance now, not so much peaking or getting a whole lot better, but just keeping my body where it is and where it needs to be.
They're not allowed to block the base when you come back.
So I'm here for 10 days, 11 days, and then I'm going to be, the day I get back, I'll be meeting my crew for duty. But definitely I'm really committed to wildfire and working my way up in the ranks there. And I think just, maintaining the lifestyle I've had, I should be able to I have a good preference now of when I need to be peaking to get to these events. So I think I'll be able to do it for a few more years. When I was younger, I had a hard time with the mental side of the game. One error would beat me up and that was the end of the game. I'd be mad. But now, coming back from wildfire, it's I've just been working 16-hour days on the fire line, grinding in the dry, hot heat. And now I get to be here with all my best friends and play baseball, which is the game I love. So, if there's pressure in a situation, I'm just I've had 10 times more pressure in previous weeks.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Well, Darius, the weekend is coming up. What is the forecast looking like for everyone?
It is looking pretty hot for most people. Temperatures are going to be jumping up, especially in the southern interior by Sunday. Some places further north, it'll be Monday that you see that spike. Here in Vancouver, it'll be a bit of a slower increase. And you can see the reason why. This ridge of high pressure that's keeping most of the southern interior clear of cloud. You can see most of it passing above any little cloud that is currently in the southern half of the province will be clearing up over the next couple days as those temperatures really start to shoot up. Just a bit of showers in the north, but that's going to be clearing up pretty soon too. And that's going to have major implications for our fire danger. Now, I didn't start with it this time, but it's still in here because you can see that we've already started to come up in the south as a result of that ridge of high pressure, bringing those dry and hot conditions. And that yellow color and orange and red is going to spread through the rest of the province fairly quickly next week because of those really hot and dry conditions. Now, this is what we can see from our temperatures as they start to climb tomorrow. Still our last relatively cool day with temperatures around seasonal before they really jump up Sunday. You can see that red color really start to spread already in the mid-30s in parts of the southern interior. By Monday and Tuesday, they're really going to jump up into the mid to high 30s, especially in places like Kelowna and Cranbrook, even some of the more inland parts of Vancouver. In the beginning to mid next week will jump up to really, really high temperatures before starting to come back down, likely Thursday or Friday, although that could change. For tomorrow, again, not too much to talk about. Pretty cool seasonal weather in most places. Plenty of showers still for the southern, central and northern coasts up into the northwest, but everywhere else getting pretty dry, and those will dry out too by the beginning of next week. To have a forecast pretty similar to Vancouver's, very, very sunny right through, as far as we can see really, and very humid conditions through next week, and just start to come down probably on Friday, but even that we can't be too sure about.
So keep that sunscreen and keep hydrated throughout the weekend. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Darius.
Thank you.
That is your late news for this Friday. Thank you so much for watching. For news anytime, visit our website, cbc.ca/bc. Have a great night.